In one of the previous videos, I've constructed a list or a vector of salaries and assigned it to a variable, and then in order to identify which of the employees have salaries greater than 1500, I constructed an expression, a logical expression of this nature, where you had employee salaries, vector of salaries, and I was trying to compare it with the threshold which we defined as 1500. And when I tried to run this with these three statements, I was retrieving something like this, and this was telling me, this output, which was a vector of Boolean values, was telling me that the two employees which comes at the index 3 and 4 have salaries more than 1500. So that's fine. I mean, it will definitely give us an indication. But what if we want to see the salaries which are greater than our threshold? And in order to have something like this, we can use one of the subsetting operations. Subsetting operations is a means to extract elements from a given vector. So this is the given vector in our example, and we want to extract the elements which are greater than 1500. We have defined the criteria over here, but that wasn't giving us the exact elements which were greater than 1500. And if we want to do some operation of that nature, what we can do is we can have our salaries, so employee salaries vector. I can write down something like that, and inside these square brackets I can define a criteria, and the criteria is as simple as this. So if I copy this statement and if I put it over here, and hopefully when I run this statement, so let me just clear the console. So this is the criteria. We've given the criteria inside the square brackets, and this is our vector. This is a variable containing the vector. So now if I try to run these four statements, what we'll see as an output to the very last statement is 2000 and 2500. So it is giving us exactly the elements in which we are interested. So that is one of the ways of extracting elements from a given vector. You can say it is subsetting operation as well. There are other ways of achieving the similar kind of scenarios. So in a more simplistic kind of scenario, where we just want to access the first element of a given vector, from a given vector, we can use something as simple as this: employee dot salaries, and I can, in the index, I can just say 1. And now let me just comment the first few lines. So let me comment out this, and let me comment out this, so that we can just run the statements in which we are interested. So if I control L, I'll clear the console. So here I'll create a list of vectors, and in this statement I'll try to return just the first element of the list which we've constructed. So let me run this, and what we can see that it has returned us the very first element. We can use 3 over here, and it will return us in a very similar fashion and the third element of the vector. So I'll run this again, and I can see that it can return the desired output. We can be a bit more creative with this, so we can say we are interested in some in elements starting from index 1 and finishing at index 3, so we can do something like that. And if I run this, in fact, let me just clear it and run it again. So we can see that it has returned 3 elements starting from the index 1 and ending at index 3. Let me try doing something else. Let me try doing 2 to 3. In fact, let me just clear it again. And now you can see that it has returned a vector starting from index 2 and ending at index 3. Now I would just like to go before finishing off this video to this very last piece of example which I want to demonstrate, and that is related to this criteria. Now this criteria basically returns a list of Boolean values, and the list which this criteria is returning is basically enclosed by the set of square brackets. So if we use something like this, hopefully it will return us the same result which we had seen in the first instance. So we can do that. So what I'm hoping to get as a result of these two statements is a list of, or a vector of elements containing 2000 and 2500. So if I run it, again, I can see that I'm getting the same output which I was retrieving before when I just gave a condition, but I can see that instead of providing that condition, I can use a vector of Boolean values and get a similar output. But the advantage over here is that you can change the values of these vector elements. So I can say false and I can say true, and now it will give me only the first element and fourth element. So if I try to run this, I'm getting the first element and the fourth element from our original vector. So in this video we have presented an example of a few subsetting operations, and we have seen how we can extract elements from a given vector. We can use basically a value, a number, or an index to retrieve a specific element from a given vector. But we can also use a range starting an index and ending index to retrieve a complete range from a vector. We can also use a criteria enclosed by square brackets to have all the values from a given vector which are meeting the criteria. And also we can make use of a vector of Boolean values enclosed again in square brackets, and whichever will be identified as true will be returned.